Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United Front.
Tell it.
What you want, what you want, what you want.
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What
Yo.
you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when you're square, solid, and you circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick your can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And US with KBA is a win-win. 1K, 1K.
All right. Peace and black power, and welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place for Knowledge is Born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a lot. And let me do this with the camera because I want him to see what's going on, but I need y'all to take this in. I need y'all to understand what's happening. Okay. I think around 2004. Let me do this with the camera real quick so I can take this in. Around 2004, we were blessed by God to hear his word and his manifestation of pen in rhyme form. You understand that the manifestation of God's pen is here. That came up in the shy, that was in the street, that showed us redemption, that showed us love, that showed us healing, that showed us possibilities of transformation. It showed us a glimpse into what it means to redeem a family's honor and name. We have a man who came to us and loved us enough to grace us with his art, to grace us with his presence, with his vulnerability, with his familyhood, with his manhood, to be an example and a beacon of those he may never even see, but heard his melodic voice on so many occasions, an uplifter, a motivator, someone who is philanthropic, a giver, a life changer, and a world changer. It becomes indeed my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, the award-winning poet, a phenomenal author, and a hell of a man, the man, the myth, the legend, God's pen, J. Ivy, individual.
Wow, brother. Thank
Welcome
you,
to the
man.
show, my brother. Peace.
Hey,
Peace
man.
and blessings to you.
Peace and blessings to you, man. Thank you so much. That was, wow. I've never heard an introduction like that, man. Thank you, man. I'm honored. Honored, man. Honored. Yeah, dude.
I told you I was excited, okay? Before we start.
Yeah. It's a blessing to be here for sure.
I'm excited. I heard you before. Well, the world heard you before we ever saw you, but I heard you under different circumstances. I heard you via LimeWire and Bearshare, if you can remember that. So I heard you, I heard Georgia, I heard the legendary Black Ice.
Yeah.
Before I saw Deaf Poetry, I didn't even know what it was. I was looking for, they had the little things where you upload, songs on it. That's how you used to make your CDs or whatever. So, it was Bearshare and LimeWire, and I was looking up the last poets, and I was going through that, and I heard you. You know what I'm saying? I heard you. So this is before I heard Kanye CD.
Wow.
So then I heard Kanye CD, and I heard you on Kanye CD. I was like, that's him.
That's love.
So, you know, a couple of years later, I'm in the middle of a war zone. We in Iraq, and I'm watching Def
Mm,
Poetry, the CDs. You know, I had went through this small place called Killeen, Texas, and in this holy ground called Under One Roof Bookstore, and I
mm,
learned from poets there. This was the first time I heard poets perform live. You know, so shout out to the Killeen Slam team and the Austin Poetry Slam team. You
mm.
know, people I saw people like Rock Baby perform live. You see what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
I had a chance to see that and take that in. So I was a culturator. And then along came these DVDs back then, and we're in this war zone.
Mm.
And I heard you get announced. I was like, why do I know that name? And you walked out onto the stage. Like, for me, everything is theater and art. So I don't know if this happened. Hopefully we can get into it. If you can, recollect it. It looked like the greatest setup in the world. You know, if you watch stand-up comedy, everything is a part of the show. There's nothing left haphazard. You see what I'm saying? You watch a performance, everything is a part of the show.
Yeah, everything.
When Most Def introduced you, when he introduced you, he had this look at eye like, y'all don't even know what the fuck is about to happen. I looked at him like, oh, what's about to go down? So he walked out and he gave you that. You know what I'm saying? He gave you that embrace. I was like, oh shit, it's about to go. I don't know what's about to happen, but something about to go down. You understand what I'm saying? So, boom, you hit the stage, get up. I said, oh! like I was in the audience. I'm in the war zone, like bombs going off and all that. I can't hear none of that shit. All I heard was you.
Wow.
Get ready to get busy. I said, oh shit. Like I said before, with all that, like I had a hat. Like I could not believe it. So it was a little bit of that and all together mixed together, right? And I'm like, yo, y'all know who that is? Like I paused the DVD. They're like, yo, what you doing? I was like, you don't know who that is, yo?
Wow.
He was on Kanye album. They're like, oh, so everybody going crazy, right? Crazy. So with that exposure right there, for me, that's kind of where I want to start ish.
Yeah.
That's and out there with the impression, the stage. Like, did you have any kind of inkling that the people, were they prepared? Did they know like who it was, or did we all found out together? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you could walk us through that little part right there.
Yeah, man. Wow, man. I'm like, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. And one, just thank you. That's first and foremost, because you never know where your art is gonna go or where it's gonna take you. So to even hear a story like that, to hear that you would, you were serving the country to protect us. That's love. Thank you for your service. And my imagination would have never went there. Went to you in that space and time, listening and watching. Like that's mind blowing. So for me, like when I did the show, that was actually my third time on Def Poetry. I was on the first season, the fourth, and the fifth. And the first season I did this poem called "Need to Write." The fourth season I did a poem called "Dear Father," and then the fifth season was "Never Let Me Down." So I think some people knew me, some people didn't. Some people knew the record for sure. Everybody knew "College Dropout," but they might not necessarily put the face and name with the poem that they heard on the record. So when I came out, I was like, I wanted to let people know. I wanted to connect the dots for people. That was one of the main reasons. Actually, when I did the taping, like I did they have you do 2 poems. So I did a couple poems, but I didn't do "Never Let Me Down." And then I went back to the director. My part already done. They done moved on to the next set. And I went back to Stan. I was like, Stan Lathan, he was the director of the show. I was like, Stan, I was like, man, I was like, it's on my spirit, man. I was like, I gotta do Never Let Me Down. I was like, I gotta do it. I was like, it ain't long, it won't take long. I was like, I gotta do Never Let Me Down. So he's like, oh no, man, we ain't got time. I was like, man, Stan, I was like, telling you, man, the people gotta hear Never Let Me Down. And then he let me go back up. You know, after I already had my turn, my time, he let me go back up. And for season 5, that ended up being the first performance of season 5 was that. So when I went out, I didn't know, you know, later on it ended up being the first joint. But at the show, I was like, I gotta let the people know. So I hit them with the hook, like, get up, I get, you know, just to get the crowd into it. And when I heard that down come back at me, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, all right. You know, so man, I just zoned out, performed the piece, and it was I mean, it's beyond exhilarating, you know, to do what you love to do. And mind you, I'm in the center of New York. I'm in Manhattan, and Times Square is where we filmed the show. So to have to be in the Mecca, to, you know, where hip hop started, and, you know, the entertainment capital of the world, at least one of them, and to have that moment, it was like a dream, man. It felt like I was in a movie, for real. Felt like I was in a movie, you know. So it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was so powerful to take in that energy. You know, we really felt like we was in the audience. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that was really it. Like Dear Father had us in tears. That's another place. You understand? That's another place.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a whole life. You understand what I'm saying? It's still a whole life to this day. Like Dear Father had us in tears. You see what I'm saying? I need the right. I need the right hat. Let us know that you from the same city as Bernie Mac. You understand what I'm saying? Like you could do it quick. You could do it quick and impactful and light and clever and artful and braggadocious, like all at the same time, like, and put something on your heart and something on your brain. You understand what I'm saying? Right. At the same time, like, oh, like, man, you see what I'm saying? Like,
right. I ain't scared of you, you know, yeah.
right. In the same space, in the same kind of way, like, boom, like, ooh. So now since we had went there, could we kind of travel back a little bit in your time space? You know, what was it about writing which led to performing? What was about writing and performing that kind of propelled you, you know, to be God's pen? Because you're gonna be God's pen from this day forward. I don't care if you don't use it no place else, you are God's pen.
Wow. Man, writing and performing, it gave me a voice. It gave me a voice that I didn't know I had. I started in high school. I had a teacher. She made us write a poem for homework. And before then, like, I was good at writing notes to girls. You know what I mean? Like, I was the shy kid. Like, so if it was a girl that I liked, you know, I might not have knew how to talk to her, but I knew I could write it down and tell her how I felt. And but I didn't think that was a gift. I just thought, okay, this is how I feel, boom, boom, boom. And you know, whoever the girl was, it was just that one person hearing it. So it wasn't like tons of feedback. And my teacher, Ms. Argue, I always tell this story. I say, you're not gonna argue with somebody named Ms. Argue. You know. So Ms. Argue, she my junior English teacher. She gave us a homework assignment to write a poem. I go home. I ain't know what to write about. I look out the window. I see some clouds. I'm like, I'm gonna write this poem about clouds. So I wrote this poem called "It Once Was a Cloud." I go to school the next day expecting to turn it in. Ms. Argue, she surprises everyone and makes everybody read their poem in front of the class. So mind you, I'm this super, like, shy kid, and I wasn't. I never imagined or never wanted. Never had a desire to speak in front of a crowd of people. So to be in a classroom my boys and you know, some girls, and I'm digging on and got to do this little silly poem about these clouds. I'm like, oh man, this ain't it, you know. So I rushed through it, did the poem. After class, she pulled me to the side. Ms. Argue gave me an A on the poem, and then she said, "You have a nice speaking voice. I have a show coming up. I want you to do the show." So I'm like, "Show? No, like, hey, thank you." The stage, no. I'm not doing no show. Not doing no show. So I didn't do the show. And a few weeks go by, Ms. Argue, she approaches me again. She said, "You know what? Last time I asked you to do a show, you faked me out. I got another show coming up. This time I'm not asking. You have to do it." So she makes me do the you know, the school. It was actually Black History Month. It was like a Black History Month talent show. It's called the Afro Club show. So I do this show, my first time ever on stage. I mean, I'm like sick to the stomach being on stage, but she was like, "You have to do it." And I'm like, all right, I can't argue with her. And but it was like the way she approached me, it was with love, it was with compassion. She was a young teacher, so she was more like a big sister. And it was something it was just the love that she approached me with that got me on that stage. And because I could have faked her out again, but some really just pushed me to get up there. And my first time ever on stage, I got a standing ovation. And instantly, my life changed. Like instantly, I went from being the kid who, you know, this shy kid who didn't have confidence, who felt like he didn't have a voice, to like, wow, people actually listen to me. Like, wow. And, you know, and they showing me love. And then I, you know, do one show. Then I do, after that, I'm like, "Ms. Argue, when's the next show?" So then I do another show. And every show I did, you know, my classmates, my homies, parents, teachers, everybody showing me love. I'm like, oh man, it was this this high, you know, shout out to 420. It was this this high that I just kept searching for, you know, because I fell in love with expressing myself, with telling these stories, with using my voice, and then finding new ways. And then each show I would get a little better and a little better. And then I started writing more. Then the writing got a little better and a little better. And it was just, I just kept looking for the next moment. Like, okay, this show led me to this show. This moment led me to this. And it just became this domino effect of what's gonna happen next. And I've been on that domino effect for a long time now. It's been a minute now. It's been a month of Sundays. But yeah, it was just the love of realizing that I had a voice and realizing the impact that it can have on people. You know, words have power. So to see that my words were having a positive impact on people was like, oh man, if I can touch you in a positive way, okay, how many more people can I touch and connect with and just put something positive in the world, you know?
Definitely love that.
Yeah.
God for Ms. Argue.
Ms. Argue.
I'm saying.
I love Ms. Argue.
I
love Ms. Argue. Shout out to Ms. Argue.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the first stage we were on as children in front of our drunk uncles and aunts and mama and them. I was like, boy, you was doing that dance all day. Do that dance now.
Hey, yo, I was too shy for
my
that.
baby finna sing. Sing the song. Like you remember that CeeLo video? He was doing that dance.
Yo, I was too scared to do stuff in front of family. I was terrified to speak in front of people. It was crazy.
I was too scared not to. You understand what I'm saying? I was just scared not to. If they took the heat off of me for a little while, because I'm a middle child, directly in the middle, three older and three younger. So
I'm middle.
Hey, that's why you're great. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you're great. So
Yeah, yeah. Shout out
You
to
know,
the kids.
any attention was good attention. You understand what I'm saying? As a middle child. So
Yeah.
when you learn how to direct that artfully, like you're a wise one. You understand? Like I learned all of that later on. You see what I'm saying? I had to learn the hard way that, you know, I can have good attention like everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
But it prepared me for my walk in life.
Yeah. It was a little different because like me and my brothers, it's three of us, but we my older brother 6 years older, my little brother 6 years younger. So it was like I was a middle child and an only child. You know, it was like,
right.
You know, we were so like, you know, 4 or 5 years is a huge difference. You know, so I'm in elementary school and my brother, he graduating high school. You know, so it was like we was in these different worlds and saying my little brother. So it was a lot of time to use that imagination, but I was just always too scared to express it. You know.
That's deep. That might as well have been 1,000 years in between. A brother 6 years older. Yeah, you know, my eldest brother is 5 years, and that was already a light year. You know what I'm saying? Away.
Light.
You know, so
I mean,
yeah.
young.
I had an older brother. I have an older brother. He's 13 months older than me. So that still was like 1,000. That still was like 1,000 years. You understand? Might as well have been. You see what I'm saying? Nobody want their little brother around. You understand? So you got to do what you got to do. And if I was allowed to come around, I had to conduct myself a certain kind of way because I'm still a little broke. You see what I'm saying? And he was grown men back then. So you had to conduct yourself another kind of way to be allowed to be around the grown men because nobody can save you. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. And I had 3 younger siblings. So, you know, I still had to make a name to where they could just be children. I had gave up my right to childhood when I became responsible for them. You see what I'm saying? So I was their protector. So if they had any issues whatsoever, I had to act in such a ferocious manner that they would never, ever, ever think to, you know, because I had to deal with my brother if something happened with them. You see what I'm saying? So like there's things that come along with that. You see? So I'm like, all right, I got that on lockdown. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, being creative, we come from a creative household. You see what I'm saying? But that creativity extended in our household. It didn't extend to the general public.
Right.
You know, being intelligent, speaking proper English. You understand what I'm saying?
All that.
Creative, all of that. Like all of it came with a fight.
Yeah, you had to articulate.
Right. A big fight. You know, in the educational system where I was blessed to have a couple of teachers like Miss Argue, but there was few and far in between.
Man,
so I had a battle and a problem with the education system as a whole and the miseducation that I was receiving because I was prepared. I thought school was a job. When we were young, education was serious in the household. So I was prepared for like the 4th or the 5th grade before I went to kindergarten. Cursive, multiplication, division, all of that. I got extra front loaded because of my birth story, you know, and the conditions that surrounded me within the first year or so of my life. So they thought I was going to be slow and they weren't having it. You see what I'm saying? So I got bombarded from everybody. I got everybody's books. You understand what I'm saying? So I was front loaded with a lot of information. And then I show up to kindergarten and they're coloring and taking naps. And, you know, I got penalized for writing cursive. And, you know, I'm in there with people eating crayons. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of them moving me out of that class, they kept me in that class. So I said, oh, this is war now. That's the only thing I could understand. Like, if you wouldn't, permit me to go where my intellect was, you were purposely keeping me here for your own purpose. So now I'm about to be the other guy. So I got into, you know, a lot of situations in school unnecessarily, but necessary for me.
Right.
Very foolish on my part, I may add. You know, very, very foolish. You see what I'm saying? I got a lot of behind whoopings behind that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I would not have myself in a position to where which I would just accept this miseducation willfully. I did something about it in my mind. I was still young. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
So the creativity and it came along with it. You know, I heard reference on your latest offering of The Wiz. And The Wiz is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not The Wizard
Hey,
of Oz. I got to say that plainly. You know, The Wiz. You see what I'm saying? Like
one of my
the Wiz
all-time
is
favorites.
right. So I heard the Wiz reference, and I immediately went back to school and all that. Like, this story is forever, but that creativity began at home, and that
Yeah,
acceptance of that type of creativity uh, began at home. So I was able to love our people from home based off of the information and the kind of care that was given at home. Correction was given at home too. Like I said, a lot of uprightness. You see what I'm saying? But
yeah,
that kind of insight in regards to, you know, what we mean, our history, you know, our spiritual systems, and all of it began at home. So I went to the outer world as, you know, half Sharif and half old dog, literally. You understand what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So
right.
I was two types of ministers to society. You see what I'm saying? A young, educated, fearless black man, and a ruthless other guy. If I needed to be ruthless, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So uh, I would like to know about the pathway that led you from that first stage to what we saw later in this great adaptation called The Deaf Poetry Jam Universe.
yeah, yeah. So, well, like once I started doing my thing in high school, like again, you know, it was like, okay, like what's next? What's next? And then so a year and a half later, when I was graduating, I went to Illinois State University for a year and a half, flunked out, but you know, I was dealing with depression and all that, but poetry was the one thing that really, you know, kept me going. So when I got down to school, I was in this new space, new environment, new people, trying to figure my way around, and kind of the same thing really happened. It was this girl I was digging on, wrote this poem for her, and then she loved it. So I took it to my English professor. My English professor loved it, and she was like, man, she's like, she was a Delta. She's like, I'm doing this show that, you know, me and the Deltas, we doing a talent show. You think you can write something and perform? And I was trying to figure out how to get back on the stage at that point. So I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. So so I wrote a poem. She had me perform, and it was just love at the show. So after that, I was hitting up like every whoever week it was, like, you know, it was the Qs or the Alphas or the AKs, whoever had like a talent show going on, whether it was like the Step Show or the Black History Month show. Like, man, I was just hitting up all the stages. Then I started going to other schools, like University of Illinois. I go down to U of I, Northern Illinois. So I started hitting up other campuses. And then after I flunked out, I found myself back at the crib, back in my mama room, you know, my mama house, you know, in you know, in my room in the basement, depressed, like, oh man, I gotta do something, because I ain't want to disappoint moms. And I was like, man, the only thing I know that I'm good at is poetry. So I'm about to go hard. So I started hitting the city, but I'm only 19 going on 20. So, but I'm hitting up all the spots in the city, sneaking in the spots, because I ain't had no idea, nothing. I talk my way in the spots, just trying to perform. Like wherever there was a poetry spot, I go through and perform. And then so I started, over the next few years, I started building up a name around Chicago. Like people started really, becoming familiar with my work. And then I started stretching out to other cities. If it was something going on in Philly or New York, or I go down to North Carolina or wherever I had people at, and they be like, yo, this going on. All right, I'm there. I'm gonna hitch a ride. I'm gonna get on the Greyhound. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get there. So then, I'm doing stuff in Chicago, and then I started hosting this poetry spot, and it was like the big poetry night in Chicago. It was on Sundays, called Rituals, and I took over for one of the hosts, and then it was just man, I was just surrounded by like just the most incredible poets, that you hear, in the world. We had A.V.R. Young and Tina Howell and Kim Ransom and Malik Youssef and Steel Black Sea and Brother Mike and Brendan Matthews, all these incredible poets. And so it was like, you had to be razor sharp. You know, I'm hosting, but I'm like, yo, I know they about to come up. Okay. And they gonna be back next week too. Okay. So it just kept your pen sharp, you know? So, so that eventually led me to, like, me and my girl, we ended up moving to Nashville. And when I was in Nashville, we was down there doing some songwriting and this and that and doing shows around Nashville. But my manager, I hooked up with this manager down there, and he had a friend whose father was best friends with Stan Lathan, who's the director of Def Poetry. And he caught wind of my poetry, wanted to see me perform. So I go out to LA. I had a show, and they invited Stan Lathan to the show, and he actually came to see me. And so I'm like, everybody was tripping, like, yo, Stan Lathan here to see you. And me, I was green. I ain't really know who he was at the time, you know. And they were like, man, Stan Lathan here to see you. Oh man, that's big. I'm like, oh, for real? So I'll go out, I rock the show, and afterwards, Stan like, yo, so look, man, we filming the show Def Poetry in New York. We taping September 19th and 20th, Most Def the host. I'm like, man, I'm on the show. Are you telling me I'm on the show? And he was like, look, man, send me the tape. You got a tape? I was like, yeah, I got a tape. So he's like, send me a tape. So I sent a tape in. And the week after they got my tape, I was getting that phone call like, yo, you standing up or sitting down? And Bruce George, one of the creators of Def Poetry, he was the one that called me. And he was like, yo, you standing up or sitting down? I was like, man, I'm about to sit down. He was like, man, I just want to call, congratulate you, man. You've been selected to be on HBO Def Poetry. I was like, yeah. You know what I mean? He was like, man, if you ain't got a manager, get one, because there's going to be 6 million people watching. I was like, yeah. Like, mind blown. I'm going crazy. Drop the phone. I'm screaming, hugging my mama. Like, pick the phone back up. Like, my bad, dog. He like, man, hey, he's like, you deserve it. Celebrate. And then, so that's how I ended up getting on the show, man. I was on, again, I was on season 1 doing I Need to Write on the show. And it was a trip because that was a poem that I wrote like one morning before going to work. I was just mad, and I went out to the lake, and I was just writing at the lake before I went to work, just writing about everything I was pissed about. And like, man, I need to write because of this, because of that, blah, 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 blah. And then 2 years later, here I am on this show doing this poem for millions of people. And it was just an eye opener to see how far your gifts can take you. And not, you know, in a matter of a little bit of time. That wasn't a lot of 2 years. I ain't a lot of time, you know. So 2 years later, here I am on this stage with all these incredible poets from around the world. Because it was like tens of thousands of people trying to get on there. And it was only like, on the first season, it was only like maybe like 52, 53 of us, you know, George and me and Lemon and Saul Williams and Jessica Care Moore and the Last Poets and Mary Baraka and Dave Chappelle and Cedric the Entertainer. And so I'm on this stage looking around like how in the hell did I get like how did I get here? Like how, you know, it was like, man, thank you, God. Like you know, it's just it was a blessing, man. And it was fun. I was nervous though. I was super nervous. So I kind of enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it, but I was so nervous at the same time. At least that first time. The next two, it was like riding a bike. You know, it was just like fun at the playground at that point. But that first one, man, I was a wreck. I enjoyed it, but I was a wreck too. I was a wreck.
I ain't scared of you, motherfucker.
I ain't scared of you.
I think the book kind of kept us from seeing you. You see what I'm saying? Like in that space to where you were halfway in your head and halfway in the moment. You see what I'm saying? Like with the book, it really looked like you was writing. I don't know what you was writing. Maybe you was like, yo, you got this, like be easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were in the path, like, boom. Yeah.
I was scribbling over what
it was amazing.
Because you know what? Like, the thing was, when Stan saw me perform, he saw me perform this poem called Wings. So this poem is called I Got My Wings. So it's about this it's about me getting carjacked by this girl, and it's about the afterlife. Like, man, like, yeah, this tragic thing happened, but I'm good. I'm good. I got my wings. So he saw me do that. So he kept telling, like, I run into him at the in the hallway, or at rehearsal, and he's like, "You doing that poem Wings, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." "You doing that poem Wings?" "Yeah, I'm doing Wings." "You doing that poem Wings?" "Yeah, yeah." So I Need to Write was really like, they give you 2 poems to do, and it's like, one, you got 2 minutes and 3 minutes. So Wings was like my 3-minute joint. And I was like, man, what I got that's under 2 minutes? And I Need to Write was the only thing I had that was under 2 minutes. So that was the only reason I did that poem. You know, so I'm like, so then when the show, two months later, when the show airs, I'm expecting to see Wings, and they show I Need to Write, and I'm like, what? Like, wait, that's the wrong joint. But hey, it worked. It worked.
So what did the comeback, feel like to be invited? You know what I'm saying? That, and also I want to know how, you hooked up with Kanye to be on the album and killed, arguably, in some people's list, 2 of the greatest to ever do it.
Man, hey, man. So after I did Def Poetry, well, when I did Def Poetry, one of my brothers, like he was also from Chicago. So let me, at Def Poetry, I ran into some homies from Chicago. And when they found out that I was performing, they was like, man, we sitting in the front row, Chicago style. So when I walked out on that stage, I'm like, all right, whatever. When I walked out on that stage, the whole front left row was all Chicago. And one of the people there was Cootie. And Cootie, he's a comedian from Chicago. We was cool. Like, we were running into each other on the scene. Cause I go, like, one of the things I would do early on was I go to the comedy clubs and perform. I would just go in wherever I could, find a stage. So I got cool with a lot of the comedians like Dion Cole and D. Ray Davis and Lil Rel, and like these. I got cool with all these cats at the comedy spots. So Cootie, he is sitting front row. So after that, we kicked it after that. And then over the next year, he like, man, Jay, he's like, you should move to New York, man. He's like, you do well out here. You should move to New York. You should move to New York. And I'm like, all right, it was on my mind, because at the time, my girl, she my wife now, Tari Teray, we were already talking about either moving to New York or LA. It's time to make that jump. And if we go really go after this thing and make a living at doing what we love to do, because Tari, she sings. So like, if we really go after it, we need to.
I like how you said that lightly. I'll be there to interrupt you. If you're God's pen, she is God's voice. You understand what I'm saying? So we know we know who y'all are as a unit. You understand what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that, because I got a line that describes her, and it says she's the lead singer in God's choir. That's one of the lines I wrote about her. But yeah, so we were talking about going to New York. So now I got Cootie like, man, y'all need to get out here. So then I remember we had a show in Philly. So we go to Philly, and then this is before moving and all that. But I wanted to check, like, let's go just get a feel for New York. Let's just go kick it. So I called Cootie up, like, Cootie, man, we in Philly, man. Like, man, we thinking about driving on up. If you're around, he's like, oh man, come on up. He's like, I'm in Jersey right now at Kanye crib. Come through. I'm like, all right, bet. So I met Kanye like maybe once or twice in Chicago before that. Like, we ran in different crews. So I knew his people, but I ain't really know him. One of my guys I went to high school with, Mickey Halstead, he was like the first MC that Kanye signed. So I met him through him. And so we go through, like, it's just love. Like, oh man, what up? And they like, oh man, this Tari Teray, she got this in her voice, and she got the strong voice. And Jay Ivy, he was on Def Poetry, and boom, he was like, oh word, you sing? Oh, you do poetry? Oh, maybe I can do something. And then he had her recording like 5 minutes later. She recording a song. I'm like, this is crazy. So after that, like, I ended up moving. Me and Tari broke up, so I ended up moving to New York first. And she moved later, but when we moved, was right around the time when Kanye was trying to get his record deal. And then Cootie, you know, this is my running buddy. So we kicking it every day. But at the time, Cootie is documenting Kanye. So he got a camera on Kanye every day. So he with him in the studio. He with him, you know, when they go to the concerts, you know, in the mall, like just kicking it, just every day. He was doing a documentary on Kanye. So now, since I'm kicking it with Cootie, now I'm around Kanye every day, every other, you know, a few times a week. It's just this Chicago crew was just kicking it. So then he got his record deal like maybe like a month or two after I moved. So I'm like, I got there like right in the middle of all this happening. And so then he, like right after he got his record deal, he went out to LA to work on music. That's when he got in the accident. And then he flew Cootie out to LA. He's like, I need you out here, man. He's like, this music I'm making is life change. I need you out here. So he flew Cootie out there. Cootie hitting me up every day, like, man, Jay, you gotta get to LA. It's crazy. We kicking it. He hit me up the next, man, Jay, we was just at Jamie Foxx crib, man. And Kanye did this song called Slow Jams, man. I got it all on tape, man. You gotta get out here. It's crazy. I'm like, man, damn. You know, so then the next day, I'm broke. I'm living in Brooklyn. I'm broke. I'm like, I ain't got no money to go out and kick it. But I was like, you know what? I was like, man, I'm motivated and I'm inspired just listening to Cootie talk about everything that's happening. And I'm still excited. I'm in New York. I'm a poet in New York. I'm hyped. So I was like, you know what? Let me write. I'm just chill. I'm gonna write. So about 11 o'clock that night, I get a call from Cootie, and Cootie like, man, Jay, you need to get to LA right now. I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, Kanye got this song with him and Jay-Z on it. He want to put a poet on it. And I told him he need to put J. Ivy on it. I'm like, dog, stop playing, man. I'm like, that ain't funny, man. Stop bullshit. He's like, nah, dog. He's like, you need to get to LA tomorrow if you can. I was like, oh, you for real? So he played the song for me over the phone, and I really couldn't hear the words. So he telling me what Jay-Z saying in his verse. He telling me what Kanye saying in his verse. And he's like, Jay, get out here. I was like, I'm gonna find a way. So I hung up the phone, and mind you, I'm broke. So I ain't got no money just run to the airport and get on a plane. But my first thought was, you need to write something right now. So I turned to a blank page. I wrote the date down. I wrote the title, Never Let Me Down. And I just wrote the first thing that came to my mind. We all here for a reason on a particular path. You don't need a curriculum
to know that you're a part of the math.
You know what I mean? So look, as soon as I said you're a part of the math, my mind went completely blank. So I started banging on the page. I was like, this ain't the time for writer's block. I was like, God, please give me a piece right now. Please give me one right now. Put my hand back to the page. My hand just started moving, writing. I wrote a full page, turned the page over, wrote a few more lines. I stopped. I read over it. I was like, man, it's kind of hot. You know what I mean? I read over like 4 or 5 times. I called Cootie back in like 10 minutes. Like, dog, listen to this. So I spit the poem for him over the phone. He like, oh man, that's crazy. So he like, man, Jay, hold on. So he goes in another room. I hear the music is loud and it's a bunch of people talking. So then all of a sudden the music cuts off. The people get quiet. He like, Jay, putting you on speakerphone, spit the piece again. So I spit the poem like I'd done it a million times already. You know, like if I want the highest clip on the highest riff, you slipped off the side. I
will never ever let you down.
So I do the
yes.
poem. Yeah, I do. So I do the poem, and when I finished, the room erupted. Everybody, like, oh, shush. I'm in New York, broke by myself. Like, what's good? What's up? You know, what's happening? I'm thinking, man, somebody tell me something. So then I hear Kanye, and Kanye like, man, Jay, spit it again. So I spit it again. Spit it again. I spit it again. Spit it again. I spit it again. Now he had me do that joint for about a half hour, and the poem was a minute long. So I just did it over and over again. And then Cootie, he finally got back on the phone. He was like, Jay, guess what? I'm like, what? He was like, Kanye flying you out here tomorrow. I said, I found my way. I found my way. Yeah, so next thing I know, I'm on the plane to LA, man. And the rest is history.
But I get my hymns from him.
It's not me, it's he that's
Damn.
Hey,
my spirit is a part of this. That's why I get look. Do you know how my soul You understand what I'm saying? Like solatry, if that's the word. You understand what I'm saying? Like solatry, like spiritry. You understand what I'm saying? Like it can't just be contained within the confines of poetry, but they have the Dead Poet Society, and that's Edgar Allan Poe and all of them. That's not you. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's not you. Like that's God's pen coming down to show you his reality. You understand what I'm saying? Like from that family of God, like he, you know, like with my son whom I'm well pleased. You understand what I'm saying? Like that experience right there. That's what that is, walking through the pages. You see what I'm saying? And you got a hungry Jay and a hungry Ye, even hungrier Ye.
Hungrier.
So like why you
and Jay was about to retire. Jay was
right.
retired. That was one of his last records before he retired.
So I hear the whole time you're explaining your story, I hear Last Call. You know, the joint that's at the end of Kanye. You see what I'm saying? Like, because we raising our glass for you. You see what I'm saying? Because you hear that. So someone to raise their glass for you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so I'm celebrating it with you. Like at this moment, like this is all of the same, you know, spiritual emotions erupting simultaneously, because you celebrating a Kanye, I'm celebrating you, celebrating you and your queen. Y'all are part of the story because I heard the story from Kanye. You see what I'm saying? Like about packing up, you know, leaving Chicago, coming to New York, you know what I'm saying? Putting the bed together. Like you are there in this story time. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're there in that story time, making your story in that story. You see what I'm saying? That's only God in that space. That's only God in that space to put it all together in that space.
It's
you see what I'm saying?
God. Only God.
So for you and your queen, like shit.
The way everything connected, I'm like, it's all God. And I literally prayed for that poem. I prayed for it. And a lot of like was also special about the poem is like before I moved, and a big reason why, like me and Tari, we had broken up and all that, because I was grieving. Like my pops had passed away, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even know I was grieving, but I was grieving. I was depressed, and New York was like an escape. It's like, let me just go do something different. I just need to be in a new environment. I just need to go. I need to know as a man I can stand on my own 2 feet. Let me just go and just make something happen. And not too long before that, before I wrote Never Let Me Down, is when I wrote Dear Father. So for me to go to New York and had this breakthrough, like Dear Father was a breakthrough. Dear Father was years of wait, years of pain, years of feeling abandoned, years of feeling angry, years of feeling sad, all of that. And then I broke through it. Like I broke through it because of a poem, and because of forgiveness, because of God, because of grace, because of like I was able to break through that. So Never Let Me Down was really an extension of the energy that I felt from breaking through with Dear Father. So it was like y'all hungry, but like I gotta share this energy with the world. You know, I gotta share this energy. And I knew I had that one shot, and I was ready for that one, man. I was, I was ready. I prayed, and God gave me one, a special one. And man, it was like a movie, man. It was like a movie, but like all the pieces leading up to that, like everything was like, all right, God was like, okay, you gonna go here. Okay, now you gonna go over here. You gonna meet this person. You go do this, boom, 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 boom. And it was like, and it wasn't just me. It was like everybody's path was doing something similar. Like, okay, Kanye, you go do this, boom, boom. Cootie, you go do this, boom, boom. And then we gonna all meet up right here for this space and time and create something that the world will never forget. And it was like, man, thank you for letting me be a part of this. Like, thank you for choosing me. I don't know why you chose me, but thank you for choosing me. You know what I mean? Like it was a blessing, man. It's a blessing.
On the same album that Kanye gave us Jesus Walks.
Same album.
In like a soldier warrior like bang. You understand what I'm saying with that? You know,
Yeah.
with that each of that battle cry like boom, boom. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying?
man.
So the
Yeah.
the ironic thing is today's 420, right? And everybody's hyped up about 420. Today is Luther Vandross's birthday,
Oh, wow.
and today is Adolf Hitler's birthday.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. And we finally got some justice in this country today.
Right.
And
So I definitely had that on my list because every time I see you, it's around something like this happening to where somebody. So Jay, how do you feel about?
well,
How do you feel about that?
well,
I didn't want to go there. I wanted to relish in the moment of the greatness that is you. You see what I'm saying? I didn't want to overshadow it with everything else that's going because I waited years for the opportunity to tell you what you mean to us. You see what I'm saying? What you mean to us as a poet? What you mean to us as a man? You see what I'm saying? Like in the time where things are questionable. It wasn't questionable when we were young, but things are questionable. Things are optional right now. You understand what I'm saying? Like to see that you can still exist in a state of positivity and give of yourself. You see what I'm saying? In a servant leadership fashion, in a philanthropic fashion, in crafting out the voices of young people to come after you. You see what I'm saying? That is amazing. That is remarkable. You see what I'm saying? I heard you recall like a young cat, performing a piece that wasn't even alive.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? When you made it, like so that life form that never let you down. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm like, yo, I'm gonna talk to Javi tonight. They're like, who's Javi? I was like, he was on Kanye album. It was like, oh, the poet dude. That was like, yo, the poet dude. That was like people still go crazy and erupt. Like they're like, oh, yo, no. So it wasn't just me. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't just me. It's the world. Like people go crazy. You know what I mean? Like they don't even know you did anything else after that. They think that's it. They're like, all right, that's it. That's what he did. And yeah. Oh, and if they watch that poetry, they was like, yeah, he did that poetry. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, so
put in a lot of work over the years, but people know that one. But I'm like, because people like it's funny, like you have people that show love, and then you have people like, yeah, he did this and he disappeared, or who is dude, or who. I'm like, man, at least I have a moment that people know. Like some people don't get that. Like a lot of people don't get that. So like, even though I'm putting I done put in some work over the years. Got a lot of special things I've been a part of, but people know that, and I'm like, hey, I'm glad you know something. I'm glad you know something.
Let me brag real quick. Like y'all see this man, y'all looking at this man, and y'all watch Black is King. This is who y'all looking at. This is the narration in the background. Okay, all right. Respect it. Respect it. Okay.
I did the promo.
Yeah, the promo. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
James Earl Jones, he did the movie. I did the promo.
I mean, that's the voice of everybody. That's what's everybody. That's the voice of everybody.
To be
you know what I'm saying?
To be in the same sentence with these folk is like,
right,
man, it's like, God, it's so good.
Now let's get into the books.
Yeah.
Dear Father, you talked about Dear Father, and Dear Father, as a father that grew up without a father, who didn't get a chance to reconcile with his father as you did.
Mm-hmm.
The hope and the motivation and the passion to be a father who grew up amongst the fatherless, who carried the pain in his heart, and that heart led to violence, led to depression, led to feeling inadequate, and all of that, all of these things, like the greatest ever oath you can make with God is like, I'm not gonna be like my father was to me. And not understanding that my father chose our people. So even being reminded of our people, even being reminded in our sojourn, like my father would be like Malcolm, you know, like the children that was his daughters, you know what I'm saying? Like he chose us and, you know, at the expense of his family. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so all of these things that was there, even from the murmurs you heard from young, I still walk in my father's path and his steps in this, even though I didn't know him. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I was his face. I continue to be his face. I continue to possess his spirit. I continue to possess his mind. He knew every word of the Bible and the Quran by heart,
Wow.
from memory, down to the publishing. And he would spit it like he was there out there in a life where, you know, people were dying for doing what he did, for standing up for our people, for choosing our people. So it was a way that he chose our people at the expense of me. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So there's a process of grieving. There's a process of hurt. There's a process of betrayal, but there's also a process of healing. There's a process of reconciliation. There's a process of upliftment. There's a process of understanding because I'm responsible for young people. You understand what I'm saying? Like not from an existential sense, like in my house. I'm you know responsible for young people. They're watching me. They're mimicking what I do right and wrong. You understand what I'm saying? They do as I say and as I do. You see what I'm saying? So it's there and you're there on a continuous basis, you know, seeking to give them your best part, but they already have your best part. They have you. You understand what I'm saying? They come from you, so they come with your best part. The unions of two bloodlines of ancestral lineages that converge together and agreed in order for them to come into existence. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I had to learn that maybe that was the only agreement we had, that he was going to get me here, but he
Right.
didn't belong to me. He had a larger mission. So my mother weathered the storm and became, you know, that mother that weathered me through all kinds of life experience. Like if I shared my birth story with you, you would understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
maybe that was her contract to say, okay, this is where I come in. You know what I mean? But it always comes of age. You know, it comes of age. Like one of the most prolific memories we had was Will Smith was on the TV show, you know, with Ben Vereen of all people, you know, and he left and he's there with Uncle Phil, like, well, how come he don't love me? After he went through, I don't need him. You know what? Like how many black men was looking at that, black boys at the time looking at that and understanding that. See what I'm
Understand.
saying? And
Yeah.
living in that moment, and you encapsulated our rage, our frustration, our hurt, our pain, our longing, our fear, all of those things all together and dear Father, and said, boom, this is me. I lay myself out here for y'all.
Yeah.
Damn. You understand? Like,
Man.
man.
Yeah, dear Father, man. Well, first, let me say I'm not a father yet. Not a father yet. So we prayers are up for the seeds to come soon. But in the process of just like you said, like healing, like the hurt, you have the hurt, but the healing is so much bigger. Just like love is bigger than hate. Like hate exists, hate is real, is deep, it hurts, but love is supreme. Love rules, love heals. And I got to the point where I was I was tired of hurting. I was tired of being mad. I was tired of feeling like my father was a bad guy. And it really happened when I was in New York. I was in New York, and I remember me and Cootie were about to go out and kick it, and we stopped by Cootie crib. He was changing, and I'm talking to my mama in his kitchen. So I kind of just I'm in here like, and she just called me up like, boy, what's wrong with you? What's going on? I'm like, what you talking about? She's like, I know something going on with you. You ain't been talking to me. You ain't been talking to Tari. It's like, what's going on? And that was like the first time I opened up and talked to my mother about how I felt. since he had passed away. And I talked for a few minutes, and then she just lit it. She listened, and then she just lit into me. She was like, your father was a good man. Let him rest in peace. I was like, when your mama talk, you listen. But what she said, it struck the center of my the core of my soul. Like it struck me. It was like this light went off. It was like, okay, here's this woman who went through more with him than I did, and she's never spoken ill of him, like never. And if anyone has the right to speak ill of him, it would have been her, because he put her through hell. And here she is protecting him still, in love with him still. And then when she said he was a good man, it was like, yeah, my father was a good man. He was just hurt. Like, and now I'm at an age where I understand what it is to be grown and hurt, and realize you're not superhuman, and feelings will drag you to the gutter if you let them. And just having that understanding and hearing my mama say he was a good man, let him rest in peace, I was like, yeah, my father, he was a good man. I'm gonna honor my mama, but I'm gonna honor him. I'm gonna honor me. I'm gonna honor our family, because she's right. I'm not gonna do it because she say do it. I'm doing it because I understand and I get it. So the next day, I've been trying to write a poem to my father for, man, it was a while. Like it probably was probably over a year. Like I was trying to write something and I could never get past the first couple of sentences. And this day, man, I opened my notepad and I put some music on. I put this instrumental on my buddy had gave me, and I just started writing. And I just, like, it was literally tears on the page when I wrote it. And I was like, I gotta let it all, get it all out. I gotta purge. Like this was the purge. And yeah, I had it was in that moment, I was like, whatever I needed to say to him, whatever I wanted to say, the good and the bad, I was like, I'm gonna say it all. But at the end of it, it's gonna be centered in forgiveness. It's gonna be centered in around him knowing that I love him, like, unconditionally. And I'm not harping on the past anymore. I'm not letting that drag me down anymore. And as soon as I wrote it, as soon as I finished writing it, I was like, oh my God. Like, if this weight, it was like this weight just fell off of me. And then like after that, I was like, you know what, I should share this. Even though I was like, this is, my mom was, she like, boy, don't be putting my business out on the street. This was the business out on the street. And I was like, but I gotta, it's one thing to write it, but then it's another level to perform it and share it. So, and to stand in that space of vulnerability. So I decided to share it. I came back home to Chicago. We had a show. Me and Tari had a show, and I come home and we do this show, and I performed this poem. And I mean, that was one of the toughest things I've ever done. But afterwards, everybody like, oh my God, I can relate to that, man. I that's what I'm going through. Oh, I need to call my dad. Oh, I need to call my son. I need to call my daughter. And it was just this. It was this healing that was happening. And every time after that I would perform it, like, it would be the same reaction. People sending me messages talking about they were close to committing suicide, and they came across me doing Dear Father on Deaf Poetry, and it changed their minds. And I'm like, oh, this is way bigger than me. This is something that can really help. So even though it was heavy, each time I performed, I would feel better and better and better. And and it just gave me strength. So some years later, and this how God worked. My pops, he passed November 15th of this is back in 99. And some years later, I get a call on November 15th from a book publisher who I've been talking to him. Well, on November 15th, they called me offering me a book deal to write this story about my relationship with my father. And I was like, okay, Dad, like, I hear you. Like, I the same day. I hear you. So Dear Father was me wanting to write this story that led up to the poem Dear Father, and the healing that I was able to get from writing that poem through poetry, through expression, through releasing, through again, the power of forgiveness, like just really truly forgiving, like I forgive you. And it was all coupled in this poem, and man, and then which later on turned into the book, and that man, that was a blessing. And it was again, to the word you used earlier, it was healing. Like, it was healing, and it's still every day is like I heal, look, bit by bit. Even watching the George Floyd today, and seeing Gianna, the video clips. I just posted the video clip for saying my daddy changed the world, and knowing that feeling of a child and a father, and like it took me back to that, for a moment, and it made me think about my dad, and the appreciation and the gratitude I have for like you said, like bring him, my mama coming together and bringing me into the world. Like, I wish the path was different. I wish there was a closer relationship. He was in my childhood when I was younger, but as like drugs and alcohol became involved, close to my teenage years. I had another brother who I never met, who was shot and killed, and on the West Side. So he was dealing with that grief. He was dealing with a lot of trauma from his childhood and his adulthood. And as I got older, I understood that more. And yeah, Dear Father, man, it helped. It helped tremendously, and it really showed me how much healing needs to happen in our community. But yeah. So Dear Father, man, breaking the cycle of pain, man. Read the book. It's an audio book too, and it's poetry sprinkled throughout. And it's something I'm super proud of. Like, one of my proudest moments was writing that book.
That book went into a movement. So talk to us about the movement. It's a whole movement. You understand? Like, I don't want them to think it's just a book. Like, okay, he wrote a book. Like, nah, you turned that book into a movement.
Yeah. So the Dear Father letters, that was an idea that really like, my wife, she the one, man. She the one. Like, how women, man. If you're a man and don't listen to your woman, you ain't doing something right. She just has so much wisdom, and that woman intuition is real, super intuitive. I mean, tapped in. They tapped into the source. So even when I wrote, like, not even when I wrote, she was the first one I talked to about Dear Father, and she told me after I finished opening up and talking to her about it, she was like, "Man, you need to break the cycle." I was like, "The cycle?" I was just on a lover of words, hearing "break the cycle" was something I had never heard, and I was like, "Oh, that's cold." You know what I mean? But then I was like, it is a cycle, So she was the one who told me that, and it really planted a seed. So then later on, after the book, she was like, "Man, this needs to be more. Let's do something more with this." So that's what we came up with Dear Father letters, and Dear Father letters is just a mission to inspire others to find that healing through writing a Dear Father letter, or maybe it's a Dear Mother letter, or a dear son, dear friend, dear self. But writing a letter of forgiveness, so we can start to heal the village, because the village has been broken for a while. It's not on us that it was broken, but it's on us to put it back together. And that was I was like, we gotta start inward. We gotta start with putting the pieces together, saying, okay, this is what it is. This is where I'm weak. This is what hurt. This is this has shifted my personality this way. Okay, I'm seeing my flaws because of this, because I didn't have that confidence. Like even when I was a shorty, my grades dropped. You know, when my moms and pops got a divorce, and then I didn't see them, and it's like in retrospect, you see the effect, you see this trajectory, and then it's like, oh, it changed in that moment. And so we wanted to use Dear Father letters as a way to inspire people, write their letters, find that healing so they can start to rebuild their families, and collectively we can rebuild the village.
So since we had forgiveness, I need the forgiveness / Rwanda story.
Yeah. Oh man. Rwanda, you know the Rwanda story?
I'm a fan.
Oh, come on, man. Wow. Hey, man. Wow. Yeah, man. So I tell you the short version. So we go to Africa back in 17. I think yeah, it's 2017. And we were going to build a playground at a school. Some friends of ours went out, they built there was a school, but they built another they built 2 other classrooms. So the following year we went back with them to build a playground, paint murals. I was doing a poetry workshop. But before we left to go to the school, which was like an hour outside of the city, we were staying in Kigali, capital of Rwanda. A lot of people know Kigali from Hotel Rwanda. Like that's where we were. We were in that city where the height of that genocide took place. So before we left the city, we gotta go to the club. So we went out to the club, and while we were at this club, the club had a balcony. So we out on the balcony, and then one of the organizers came out with this guy, and she was like, I have one of my friends, One Key, he wants to meet one of you all. So I'm not thinking nothing of it. He's like, One Key, this is Cam B. One Key, this is Tari Teray. One Key, this is Jay Ivy. Jay Ivy! Oh my God, Jay Ivy! I'm like, what? I'm like, what? He's like, I would never let you down, Jay Ivy. I was like, yeah. He was like, oh my God. He was like, I started writing poetry because of you. I was like, wow. Now I'm in the middle of Africa. I'm all the way across the world. And somebody told me to never let me down, touch them that way. And I was blown away. So then, I mean, he already just had this beautiful, loving spirit. But, you know, he told me he did poetry. Kind of find out he one of the coldest poets I've ever met, do poetry in 5 different languages. And so at the end of the week, we were doing a show. He called all the poets and singers from town, at the African dancers, everybody came, musicians came out, everybody came out to see me perform. And it was incredible. It felt like electricity was shooting through my body. So later on, I'm working on my album. The album's out, Catching Dreams. Hold on. Catching Dreams. You know, so I'm working on Catching Dreams. And then he hooked me up with this musician, Muyakazi Dayo. And Muyakazi, he played this instrument. It's called an nanga. It's like this oblong wooden instrument with strings, and he plucks it and he sings, and it's incredible. And he had posted something on Instagram. I was like, yo, I'm working on my album. Can you send me something like that? He was like, man, yeah. So he sent me this joint, incredible. So then I called One Key, or email One Key. It's like, yo, Muyakazi sent me this track, and I wouldn't know him if it wasn't for you. I was like, man, would you please, you know, do something on this record? And he blessed me with a verse. They recorded the music and they verses over in Kigali, and just, you know, emailed the files over, and man, I got this beautiful piece called Finding Home in Rwanda on my album, Catching Dreams. Go get that, cop that. Yeah. But yeah, that's how that came together.
I love that. I was going right there next. I'm telling you, you read my mind or my notes or something. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah, I seen the notes. Oh, okay. Talking about that. Okay.
I was in a zone for like the last couple of days. I think for the last week since Georgia Me. Shout out to the goddess of poetry. the poetic oracle, Georgia B. And she was like, I know you've been trying to get Jay. I got him for you. I said, I fell out. I did. I literally fell out. Like I had to compose myself and get it together. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm in this zone listening to this project. You see what I'm saying? Because you got the epic joint. Dreams don't come true, they are true.
Yeah, dreams.
You see what I'm saying? I was like, so you're catching dreams.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like you're catching dreams, like you in this zone. Like, you know, the Native Americans, they had the little device, they call it the dream catcher. You understand what I'm saying? But we come from a place where we don't dream.
Right.
We watched a man, April 4th, 1968, die from having a dream. So we don't dream. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We're in a hellish state of condition within self, and it's a battle because we're so creative and we're so talented. We are from the Most High, his family, his children, his manifestations on the planet, and we have to hide it. We can't be too, you understand what I'm saying? We can't be too godlike. You understand? So you got a project from around the globe with so much solatry in it. You see what I'm saying? To give us catching dreams. You bold enough to say we're gonna catch dreams and not bullets. You bold enough to say we're gonna catch more than footballs and baseballs and basketballs. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna write and craft and create. We're gonna make ourselves, our vulnerability out, and we're gonna find a creative outlet to show our God-forced talent to the world, not just our God-given talent. You see what I'm saying? So from that physical aspect, you got the catching dreams essence. That manifestation of God's power in the physical world through the arts and the science.
Man.
Damn.
Hey, man. I need that. That got to be the promo, man.
Hey, you can have it. You can have it. It's an honor to receive it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Because I mean, really, that was the aim. That was the goal. It's like for me, like Never Let Me Down was catching a dream. Like I like the ancestors, they speak. The angels speak. God speaks. And when I write, like for me, writing is me trying to catch it. Well, is me listening, and the second thing is trying to catch as much of it as I can. Like, let me bottle this up. Let me put this on the, on the pad. So Dear Father was catching a dream. I need to write deaf poetry, like these moments, these experiences, the family that we're surrounded by, friends, the places we go it's all like it's us catching these dreams. So with the poetry, it's a blessing to have a gift that allows me to do that. And with the album, I just wanted to express that. Like I wanted it, like if I've never said it right before, let me say it now. This is what I feel. This is what I'm grateful for. Here are some of the dreams that I caught along the way. Me moving to New York, man. Brooklyn Rain, that was a dream I caught. Man, trip to Africa, Hotel Rwanda, man, it's a dream I caught. Heaven on Earth. Ooh, man.
Heaven on Earth.
Man, sorry to raise.
Yo. I can't keep it together. Heaven on Earth, man. Shit.
Come on, man. Yeah, so that's
Heaven on Earth made me feel like when I heard Common's Ghetto Heaven.
Woo.
You know what I mean? Not the remix. The remix is cool, but that when I hear him say God bless at the beginning, like just from the beginning, it's like boom. I was going to tell you like Heaven on Earth, because I was going to ask you, okay, so what's your favorite joint for the day? But since you're going through the anthology already, I got to share with you like Heaven on Earth took me from earth to heaven and from heaven back to earth. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, the The favorites depend on the day. Some days Fall Don't Trip is my favorite. I Can't Go. I got a video for I Can't Go. I think like I didn't want to put it with everything going on. I felt funny about putting it out, but I might put it out tomorrow actually, just on some, you know, I don't want to keep holding. But I Can't Go is man, I love that joint. But yeah, Heaven on Earth, Brooklyn Rain, just like even what we were able
Brooklyn
to do.
Rain, even with Brooklyn Rain, you said I talked to my father and my heavenly father, and they both told me. I said, "Oh shit, what?" I was like, what?
My heavenly
Like,
father.
yeah,
I heard their voices speak to me like dreams, sweet screams. Yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah, I said shit.
Off of Chicago. Hey, we got a remix of Off of Chicago. It's a house music version.
Really?
Check it out. Yeah.
Oh.
Look for the Chicago. Look for Off of Chicago remix.
Chicago. I'm from New Jersey. I'm from Newark. You see what I'm saying? So like Chicago and Newark is house music. You see what I'm saying? Like that place. Like so. Yeah, house music.
Your is by DJ Stacy Kidd. Stacy Kidd, he did this record. It's incredible.
Okay.
I would have never heard it being a house record. It trips me out hearing it. I'm like, damn, it's crazy. Oh, used to sound
everything.
Like this. So check out the album, the remix, all that. The new video. I got a video for Fall on Trip out there. This my buddy Chris, one of my best friends, the one that he did. We did out in Cali. It's incredible. But yeah, man, I'm real proud of this album, man. And then we following up my album with Tari Teray's album, which is called Catching Feelings. So that's coming soon. I did some writing on there, got a feature on there, and she did. Oh man, the music so incredible, so incredible. A lot of people who may know Tari, she may know it. Like right now, she tours. Well, when touring was happening, she tours with Slick Rick. She used to tour with Live. She sang on like 5 records on the College Dropout. Family Business, Heard 'Em Say, Never Let Me Down. Like, have you ever heard John Legend's first album, Get Lifted? She co-wrote and she's singing on the song Live It Up. You know, Live It Up. Yeah, so that's Tari singing on there. So we just finished her album. It's beautiful, man. So that's so my album's Catching Dreams, and Tari Teray's album is Catching Feelings. So that's coming next. Yeah.
We would love to have her share a few minutes with us. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we could catch feelings over here. You understand? So that's a whole nother thing. As a black woman, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to be the strong one. You can't never be vulnerable. You got to always have it together, or they're gonna call you. Look, I already went into it and I didn't even hear it. You understand what I'm saying? This is the place where the black women are celebrated over here. Like, from my mother to every black mother that's out here. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the epicenter in this space. This is the place where you can catch feelings and you won't be judged. You understand? If you say something that's on your heart and it needed to be said, it needed to be said. Because black women, if I could for 1 second, they are the gateway between God and the physical world.
Absolutely.
So they are from source to material.
Absolutely.
They are source material. You see what I'm saying? So, like, these oracles that are out here. So, with situations like that, as brothers, our duties and responsibility, despite this era that comes with all of this, like, this is why we defend our women and children. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because of these gifts that exist. The proof of God is in the black woman. You understand what I'm saying? The proof of God is in the black family. So the personification of life to be continued, the duty and responsibility is in the black man and the black woman to create black children. Right. You see what I'm saying? So that triune that exists in that era, this is how the world continues to benefit. Even if it looks like to our detriment, we give freely of our gifts unbeknownst to us. We don't even think about it.
Right.
Like, oh, you like that? Like, how many times does somebody come to you and be like, "Yo, Jay, you that joint you did," and you look, you're like, "You like that?"
Right.
Like, I was just You know, I was just fucking around. You know, shit,
Right.
messing around. Like, oh, you really like that? Tyrone came from Erica Badu, just fucking around like a little
Right.
space filler.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so
and it's like,
like just playing around, brothers. How y'all feel? Sisters, y'all all right? You understand? Like, sisters, how y'all feel? Brothers, y'all all right? Like, boom.
right.
And just, you know, that right there, that artful, creative space that existed naturally.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac did not know when he stepped out on that stage.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't going to be upset, like he wasn't going to be intimidated because everybody bombed before him.
Right.
But he walked out on that stage and said, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. And you see it in his eyes when they reacted crazy. He said, oh, y'all like that shit.
And you know,
y'all like that? Boom.
Cootie was just telling me not too long ago that wasn't even a part of his set. That was just, like you said, everybody bombed. And he come out and shut it down. Like, shut it down.
Right.
That wasn't
I heard it from his daughter. I heard it from his daughter, and they had that little series on Why We Laugh. It's called Why We Laugh. I think his daughter told that story. You
Real?
know?
Oh, that's I gotta check that out. I gotta check that out. We was just talking about that, which is wild. But that's real, man.
Yeah,
like,
I saw his eyes. Them eyes got big and they lit up like, man, I gotta ask you about the stage. You see what I'm saying? From the stage that you first went on to the stages you done been in places all over the world, man. Like, what is that stage experience? And for the people that's watching and the people that may be looking to book J Ivy, what's a J Ivy experience like?
Oh man. Well, first let me say this. That shy kid who lacked confidence and was confused about the world and didn't think he had a voice. The stage then and now is the, well, then it was like the first time that I felt like I was at home. It was the first time I felt like I belonged. It was the first time I felt that people could see me. It was the first time that I felt like alive, you know. So that feeling every time on stage is that feeling. And over the years, I've been able to you know, develop that gift and nurture it and fine tune it. And because I'm super critical on myself. Like like I don't be feeling like stuff is all that, and somebody else might love it, and I'm like, that's cool, you know. But because I'm really like, I'm aiming at something. Like I want to write things that are so incredible and just, you know, just stir your soul and make the place better and make the world better. So man, my show is fun. My experience is fun. It's thought provoking. It shares new perspective or familiar feelings, things we need to discuss, be reminded of. But it's all centered in love and upliftment and hope for better days and fight and perseverance and you know, some cool things I done got from the Shy. You know what I mean? Like it's those experiences from childhood, growing up on the block, to going to high school in the burbs, to living in New York and LA and Nashville and North Carolina and man, just living life and traveling and meeting new people and bumping your head and you know, getting down but getting back up. It's all that, man. It's all that. And I'm really looking forward to sharing the next experience with you. For the first time, since the pandemic, it you know, the show's been here and there. So one of the things I wanted to do was perform the album. So we recently filmed a recording of the whole album, Catching Dreams. So I got the live band with me. I got Tari Therese with me. I got Maurice Brown, who's playing. He a Grammy winning trumpet player from and producer that did Brooklyn Rain and Ride Out. Ride Out is, yo, now Ride Out. that's another favorite. Ride Out, that's another favorite. You know what I mean? So he's him there. I got Irvin Pierce on sax. I got Brandon Marshall on drums. And Chris Robb on keys, like some incredible musicians. Cam B, who's an Emmy-winning director, he directed it. So, and right now it's being mixed and edited. So that'll be coming real soon too. But the stage, man, the stage is home. The stage is a space where I don't feel judged. It's a space where I feel love. It's a space that's fun, that's happy, it's just full of joy. And I'm looking forward to rocking soon. So I need to hit some stages, man. I need to hit some stages because yeah, it's a fun time, man. Been doing it for a long time too, which is a blessing. Like to be doing it this long. I've been performing since that first performance in high school was 93. You know what I mean? 93. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And like Def Poetry and all that. Def Poetry was 01, College Dropout 04. So yeah, it's been some fun things. So yeah, that's it, man. Come to a show. Come to a show. I'll be posting the link soon. Catching Dreams, a live show. Live from Chicago. J. Ivy. Yeah.
Gotta come to Tamika Festival, man. At the end of the month, man, I'll be down there in that Tamika Festival. I'll be right there in that space.
Yo, that'd be. I gotta figure that out. That'd be love to be down there. I gotta figure that out. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Before we go, I just wanted to talk to you about one last thing, man. We took a heavy loss on one end and a heavy gain on the other with Mums, man. You know what I mean? Like,
man,
that hurt like Gil Scott Heron. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in the same kind of fashion with that same kind of soul. Like Mums made us love poetry. We love Oz. We love, you understand, all of everything. Like, and he was still working and still creating. You understand, like putting his all into everything that he did. Like he always made everything feel ever so light, but heavy at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So like that kind of cross-cultural push. Normally, he's there with Lord Jamar, and Lord Jamar brings hip hop to Hollywood from a cultural perspective to be on display.
Right.
Mums does the same thing. You see what I'm saying? From the poetry world, like you didn't know the poetry world existed like this. This might be your first introduction right here. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, there's a time space to where you're looking at, you know, Gil Scott, and I wanted to talk about the show too. Hopefully the show comes back because your show is the bomb. You know, I saw our spiritual poetry father, the Godfather, Baba Abiodun Oyewale on your platform. You understand? So I know you got some things to say about that.
Oh man. Big shout out to Abiodun, Pops. What the do, Doom? Love you, brother. Love you, man. Yeah. Umar, love all the brothers, man. Like yeah.
So Umar, yes.
Yeah, man. It's
that loss and gain, man. Mums, you see what I'm saying? And then also, if you can take a few minutes and speak about your show, hopefully it returns. We loved it.
Yeah, you talking about the word?
Yes, the word.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, you know what? So real quick on that, like I've been meaning to bring that back. I've been working on this film with Cootie and Chike. So that's been consuming a lot of time, but it's been on my mind to bring it back because it's definitely time, like to have so many incredible poets and creatives and thought leaders come and lend their time, their gifts, their stories to share. It's incredible. And and over the years, man, to see the years go by, one thing that that people never, I don't know, they didn't know to tell you, or I mean, it's nothing really to tell. Maybe it's nothing that you really expect, but the older you get, the more loss you see. And it's, you know, you're younger, you haven't seen that much loss, but you know, for some maybe, but at least for me, when I was young, the first person that I lost that was like really close. I mean, outside of my brother, I didn't know my brother who passed. So like when my grandmother passed, you know, I was 19. So that was like the first big loss. But then years go by and you encounter these friends that become brothers and sisters, and people that you really admire and you're fans of, and they admire you and lift you up. To see poets loss is, it hit different. It definitely hits different. You know, over the years, you know, we lost Chicago, we lost Brother Mike and Brenda Matthews, Mama Matthews, and Dread Sister Ren. And then years later, I remember Will, the real one, he texted me the night Gil Scott Heron passed, telling me. I was driving through Pennsylvania. Me and Tari, we were driving from New York to Chicago on I-80. And I get this text that Gil Scott Heron passed. And it was like, you know, oh my God. And then 2 days later, somebody else hit me. I forget who hit me, but somebody else hit me telling me Will, the real one, passed. So the person who texted me about Gil Scott, 2 days later, he gone. And then time goes on, and then, you know, there's the tremendous loss of, you know, Gil Scott Heron, and I mean, not Gil Scott, but also Amiri Baraka, and you know, you see all this loss. So moms, man, when I went to go do Deaf Poetry is when I met moms. And like I was saying on this tribute, Saul Williams and Jessica Care Moore and Kevin Powell, like these poets, they were my heroes, because I was the young cat trying to find himself in the world, and had fallen in love with this art form, but I'm feeling like the weirdo because I'm like really the only one I'm seeing doing it. But then I start, as you know, as I get a little older, 19, 20, I start discovering other places to go and start meeting these other poets. Like, oh, it's a family out here. Like, oh, it ain't, oh, okay. You know, I'm a part of something that's special. You know, so when I went to go do Deaf Poetry, the first person I met was Jessica Care Moore when I touched down in New York. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. You know, we went to Olive Garden at 8, you know, me, her, and Bruce George went and had lunch at Olive Garden. This is my fresh off the plane. This first thing I'm doing, right? So then later, you know, I moved to New York and I meet Saul Williams. And then when I did Deaf Poetry is when I met Moms, because Moms was on the show and just showed me love. And when I moved, then I started running to them more often. So we just be out kicking it. You go to different parties, different events, whatever. You just randomly bump into each other in the streets. Tari was reminding me of this time we were down near Soho and ran into Moms and was just talking to the point where it was raining, but we just kept talking. You know what I mean? And like he just always showed love. He would always listen. He would always encourage me. He always told me I was dope, you know. And Moms was like, you know, like a samurai and a monk and the dude on the block you don't even want to mess with, and the coldest MC and the coldest wordsmith, and the, you know, the energy that he brought was like no other, man, no other. So like Moms, man, like man, I love Moms. I love you, Moms. And I definitely want to just say thank you for always showing me love, always for what you've done for the culture, what you've done for poetry, for what you've done for spoken word, for what you did for our country, for our people, man. Like thank you, Moms. I love you, man. Love you. And yeah, it was an honor to know you. And I know you're still here. You know?
Definitely. I extend that love and honor and courtesy to you and everything that you brought forth, both you and your queen, man, and your family, you know, that is soon to come. You know, certain things I feel had to be addressed before, you know, this gift to receive. You know, you spoke about ancestors, and your father work is not finished.
No, sir.
So,
Yeah.
you know, don't be surprised if a little boy or girl show up, or a boy
Hey,
and a girl. You understand what I'm
I've been,
saying?
I've been having,
So,
I've been having dreams lately. I've been having some dreams. About to catch some more dreams.
right, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Feel it. We feel it. We feel it. We feel it. You know. Yeah. And I thank you for that.
That Baba.
I thank you for that. You know. I mean a lot.
I had the pleasure to meet Baba Abiodun in June of 2015
Mm.
in Dallas
Hmm.
at Pan African Connections bookstore. Him and one of his sons, Pharaoh, was there,
Pharaoh, yeah.
and and I bought his books and his CDs. And he told me, he said, white people don't conquer and divide;
Hmm.
they divide to conquer.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's one of the Baba Odom isms. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
It's mine. Oh my God. That's real. That's real.
that was a beautiful space, man. Tree of Life. Got his book. You know, I love that book. I love his art and his talent and his heart and his candor. Because if you trash, he will let you know
Yeah.
that you trash. You might
Real.
need to go do something else. Like, you might,
Absolutely.
you might want to go do something else.
He's gonna absolutely let you know. He don't bite his tongue.
Right?
He don't
With a
bite his
smile.
tongue. With a smile.
With a smile, you might want to go do something else. This is not it.
Yeah, he's gonna make you think about it or work on it. It was one or the other,
Right.
or both.
Right.
Yeah, man.
So, final remarks. I've stole, you know, too much of your time, man. I would love to have you back, you know, anytime. This is your home. This is the home of God's pen. Y'all hear it from me. Do the Knowledge Radio is the home of God's pen. Who y'all might know is JIB. You understand what I'm saying? God's pen over here. So,
Hey,
final remarks, closing remarks, acknowledgments, shout outs, you know, whatever you want to offer to the family before you go. And also how to find you and people want to book you, how to do so.
yeah, man. Hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at J_Ivy. It's just the letter J_IVY. You can book me on my website. That's J-IVY.com, JIvy.com. And yeah, hit me up, man. I'm working on a lot of incredible work coming out real soon that you're gonna hear about, you're gonna see. And I can't wait to dive in and talk about it. But man, for you, brother, for you, I want to do this for you because what you've said tonight is really meant a lot. It was really touched my spirit, touched my soul, and I thank you for one doing the work that you're doing, and for the love that you do it with. I hear you. I hear you. I feel it, and I thank you. Thank you for everything. So for you, get up, I get down. Get up, I get down. Get up, I get up, I get. We all here for a reason on a particular path. You don't need a curriculum to know that you're a part of the math. Cats think I'm delirious, but I'm so damn serious. That's why I expose my soul to the globe, the world. I'm trying to make it better for these little boys and girls. I'm not just another individual. My spirit is a part of this. That's why I get spiritual. But I get my hymns from him, so it's not me, it's he that's lyrical. I'm not a miracle. I'm a heaven-sent instrument. My rhythmic regiment navigates melodic notes to your soul and your mental. That's why I'm instrumental. Vibrations is what I'm into. Yeah, I need my loot by rent day, but that ain't what gives me the heart of Kunta Kinte. I'm trying to give us free like Sinke. I can't stop. That's why I'm hot. Determination, dedication, motivation. I'm talking to you, my many inspirations, where I say I can't let you a self down. If I were on the highest cliff, on the highest riff, and you slipped off the side and clinched onto your life in my grip, I would never, ever let you down. And when these words are found, let it be known that God's penmanship has been signed with a language called love. That's why my breath is felt by the deaf, and while my words are heard and confined to the ears of the blind, I too dream in color and in rhyme. So I guess I'm one of a kind in a full house, because whenever I open my heart, my soul, or my mouth, a touch of God rains out. Get up, I get down. Get up, I get down. Get up, I get up, I get. Happy National Poetry Month. J. Ivy. Much love, my brother.
Much love. I'm I'm gone again, man. I'm gone. You understand what I'm saying? I love it. I love you much, man. Much love to you and your dynasty, you and your queen, man.
Thank you, brother.
God's pen, ladies and gentlemen, formerly known as J. Ivy.
The poet formerly known as. Hey, thank you, bro. This mean a lot. This mean a lot. Keep shining, man.
Right.
Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, big brother. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Much love.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
I jumped in with a grin, bumped my chin, scraped my knee, earned my scars, pray for me. You're such a blessing. I'm wrestling with thought, trying to pin something to the pad, the mat. The fat was trimmed but grew back. I went against the grain and my instinct said, I told you not to do that. I knew that, this, that, boom, bat. Then you feel your stomach churn, burn like reflux. I make mistakes, then lose trust. Stagnant is my magnet when my thoughts are tragic, but when I'm clear, I steer clear of the fear I hear. You hear that? If I could just get a moment to speak to my people. We're like 79th Street east of Stony Island. We're so regal. I mean, how is it that the entire world would try and ground you, but we still manage to soar like eagles? They try to ignore the black excellence that pours out of your pores, and please believe me when I say, I see you. You are remarkable. I mean, every little part of you, every little particle, from your cuticles to your hair follicles, our souls are articles that the future will read and study. They may try to hate on you, but please remember that you were born lovely, resilient, beautiful. Our contributions to the world are undisputable. The world marvels at what you can do, and that would include the impossible. Even in the quarantine, our aura is seen. It's impossible to quarantine everything we mean to the culture. We are the culture, circled by vultures that want to prick and pry, born without wings, but we were meant to fly. That's why we can't help but cry when we lose angels like Hank Aaron, John Lewis, Sweet Queen Cicely, Kobe Bryant, Bill Withers, Muhammad Ali. You see, our muscle memory is made up of miracles. Spirituals are tied to our tongues. When we speak from the heart, heartstrings are strung, heartbeats are drum. You can't help but feel our rhythm, our ism, our swag, our brilliance, our essence. Our work is essential. Potential is seen in the shadows that follow us. We shine like the sun at dusk. Trust, this is the golden hour. hour. Our flowers are eternal. Walk a mile in our souls and be wowed by our journals, our stories, her story, his story, our remarkable history. You see, because history is more than a memory. It's more than a moment that's talked about for centuries. It's a movement, an act by certain individuals who have found the ability to make time stand still. Actions that find a chance to fill empty frames with passionate portraits, magnificent masterpieces that are often painted by black hands, cleverly crafted by the black woman, wisely written by the black man, whether they be young or old, the brave and the bold, who aren't afraid to have their stories told, so those stories might be echoed and echoed and echoed, so black voices speak out. Timelines are affected. Legacies are born as heaven uses these beautiful instruments to tell their tale, to make a statement, to do something monumental, something memorable, a reminder that we're the creator's creations, so capes are no longer kept in closets. They're put on as ordinary people are transformed into heroes as they fly through their communities and create change, because that's what history is. Change, that moment when lives are changed, which starts with a vision of one person. Therefore, black history can't be confined to 1 month, because history is made every single day in so many different ways. From the babysitter to the surgeon, the musician to the teacher, the student, the astronaut, the poet, the preacher, those who remind the world of how beautiful black really is by making their moment in time stand still. So from Bronzeville to Harlem, from Motown to Compton, down to the A and the Big Easy, this is merely a reminder that we are black history in the making. So with every little part of you, make your history, and please, by all means, make it remarkable. You are remarkable.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them that in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to the
motive
gritty
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.